Hey, this is Dave coming at you from Michigan. Finally, I get to do a video. I've been itching to do a video for a while. I've just been real busy and we've just been focusing on actually getting stuff done. I did a video, I think the last time I did a video is, I can't even remember what I covered, but I know I haven't covered the stairs yet. So we got both sets of stairs in, which is really good because we've just had these covered up for, well, ever since we framed the house. So there's this first story stairs that goes from the first floor to the basement. Let me go walk down here to kind of show you what we did here. I'm not going to cover all the math and all that with there's a lot of videos out there that cover the stairs when it comes to the math. I think a lot of people, what they get confused on, which it's the way that I understand it, is right down here. This is what a lot of people get confused on with steps, is the last step. Wow, that looks blurry. Whatever the thickness of the tread you're using, you just cut it off the bottom of the stringer. And what that does is, when you cut it off the bottom, you're adding it again here, but you're not adding it at the top. That's why you do it. It's like, or let me try to explain that better. Envision whatever you cut off here, the material that you're dropping the stringer of this thickness, you're adding that material back to the top stair. So even though it dropped down, in this case we use 2x12s, it dropped down. So here's your finished floor. So if you don't drop it down and you just made 7-inch, 7-inch, 7-inch all the way, this ends up being 8.5 off of there. So you have to drop it down, and then it's kind of like this. You're cutting it off the bottom just to restack it on the top, if that makes sense. So picture something that's 10 feet and you take off, let's say, an inch. Now you've got 9 foot 11 inches, and then you're just going to stick that piece that you cut off at the last step at the top. So it basically just becomes equal of itself. That's confusing. A lot of people, including myself, I was confused on that. Now, this sounds silly, but this is the second staircase I've ever built in my life. The first one was in 2006. So this just proves that you can do it. The only reason why I was able to do it is there's a lot of videos, and I have a base understanding of construction to where it's just easier for me to comprehend this stuff. So basically in here, what we did with new construction here makes it a little bit nicer. We wanted to just be equal to our hole. We had 46.5 across here. So you want to make sure that you're on your walls, because this is what happens a lot of times. We framed this really good, but we still have a little bit of this hole wasn't exactly perfect. So the walls are perfect to the print. So when we built this other wall down below, we made it plumb to not this bond board, but to this. That way the drywall, and then you can always figure out exactly where you need to be. So when you drywall, you can put 16 center first strips, exactly rip what you need. So that's the first thing we did, is we built these walls we just leveled down and made sure that we had 46.5 on the ground itself, made sure it was perfectly plumb. Built these walls, and then we built the steps. So here, when I talked to Greg at the lumberyard, I was asking him, hey, does anyone ever use LVLs for their stringers? And he said not very often, but he was like, well, I'm surprised they don't. So I asked him, I said, well, what's the difference between, the price is pretty expensive. And then another thing was like, well, the reason why I decided to do LVLs was mainly because with LVLs, besides the strength, you're getting a perfectly straight, in this case, 14-inch by 1.75 inch, or if you use 2x12s, an LVL is 11 7/8 by 1.75 inch. I decided I want my stairs to be super strong. I used 4 stringers. I could have gotten away with a third, just one in the middle, because I'm going with a 2x12, but it's just, I just want my stuff to be built super strong. They're super strong, but they're super straight. You don't have to worry about crowning, and you don't have to worry about twisting and any of that stuff. And I tell you, when you have these stacked on the floor, laying on the floor before you use them, they are just in line perfectly. Now, sometimes you'll get an LVL that's a little bit wider, and so what we did is, or taller, the width, not the thickness, but the width. You just figure that out, and you can always just take a circular saw and just hand rip it. But in this case, these were actually perfect. And we used them because of that. And the LVLs between the 2x12s and the 2x14s was only $250 difference for both sets of stairs. So for an extra $125, we're actually able to get 2x14. I mean, look at how much thickness you still have on that, even after cutting the notch. So what we did is we based this on 7-inch rise. And that's getting more in the math of it, but you just basically take, another thing too, don't overthink this stuff. It's just finished floor to finished floor. And to take some of the math out of it, all we did is we knew the finished floor on the top's gonna be, it's gonna be a 3/4 inch hardwood flooring. So instead of just adding it, all we did was just take a piece of wood and nail it right on here. I can't really, I guess use your imagination because I can't find anything, but picture this being 3/4. We just put it right here. Right here. Oh, and another thing to me, it's almost common sense, but it is part of the math, is don't take your rise from where the stairs start. You want to figure out your rise in your mathematics from where the stair lands, just in case there's a slope in the concrete. My concrete guys did a really good job with that. We checked it and it's pretty much perfectly level. It's also perfectly level across this way. And yeah, but you take your measurement from that side of the floor down, where the stairs land, not where the stairs start. So yeah, we did pretty good. I'm breathing hard. It's so hot outside right now. It's super humid, but let's see here. Yeah, between me and Justin ordering the wood, getting it delivered, carrying it all down, carrying it all in here, and building both stairs and installing them took us about 4 days. So I think we did pretty good. Now, these are the upstairs stairs. Same thing, finished floor to finished floor, but I did this a little bit differently. I really want to use my black walnut in my first floor to second floor right here, because it's going to be really open. There's going to be a post right here. It's going to be really done up with nice railing. And so what I did here is originally I was going to do a temporary tread where you just take, like I did, 3/4 inch and just put them in with 2 nails, and that's our temps. But then I started thinking, hey, why don't I just install this permanently and just take off an additional 3/4 off the stringer like I talked about down in the basement. And that way I can glue and screw these in permanently. And then when I put my black walnut on here, which I actually called a mill ahead of time to make sure that I'm on the right track, and they said that with their machinery and stuff, they usually mill at about 1 1/16 thickness for stair treads. So that's what I went by. So if you add 1 1/16 stair tread right here from the finished floor, which will be 3/4, this set of stairs actually came out to 7 3/16 rise for the steps. So by the time you add 1 1/16 here, put the 3/4 flooring down, you're going to have an exactly 7 3/16 step here, 7 3/16 step here. And it's not too hard to figure out, because all we did here is finished floor to finished floor minus 1 3/16, or minus 1 1/16, and then just minus 3/4, because we knew that this was going to be an additional to it. So let's see here. I'm going to wait till the air compressor kicks off. Oh, and then we could talk about the skirt board and the cleat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. So here's the cleat board. So let's say that we had 46.5 inches, because that's basically what we had for both stairwells, was 46.5. Minus 3 inches. And what we did is just minus 3 1/8 inch. Just the 1/8 inch was play, but basically 33.5. And then I think we made our stairs like 33 3/8 is what the actual OSB is cut at, and the frame of the stairs is. That gives you 1.5 inch cleat on each side. So what this cleat actually does is, a lot of people, if you're just going to do like a cookie cutter neighborhood, and it's going to be like a basement set of stairs, nothing fancy, just little drywall that just goes behind there, you would just use a piece of 1x down here for your cleat. And so that gives you you know, when you put like drywall on, even though it's 1/2 inch, by the time it's physical in there with the liquid nails, you're almost flirting with 5/8 to 3/4. So you end up with like a little bit like an 1/8 inch gap between your stairs if you're doing it that way. But what we're doing is we're doing the drywall, obviously, and that slides down. It makes it to where you don't have to notch it. That would be so bad if you did it that way. But also with the 1.5 inch, so now you're left with an inch, probably just a little less than an inch, 15/16, 7/8. That gives you an ability to slide a 3/4 inch skirt board diagonally down the stairs to where you don't have to notch it like that. Now, a lot of refabs, a lot of times, they have really good stair guys that can do that. They have all the proper tools that will line up and you can scribe it exactly down. It just takes a lot of work. But in new construction like this, there's not really an advantage of cutting it that way. So what our plan was is put the drywall in, get that done, get it all primed and painted, put the skirt board in first with the decorative edge. We don't know exactly how we're going to do the skirt board, but it basically will just run diagonally all the way up and hit the wall of the door with a nice fancy edge ripped on the top. And then after that, these will be cut perfect. The black walnut treads, they actually have a tool that's like a double T-square that you can really get it to like a 30 seconds. That will just go really tight up to the skirt board on each. Each step will be cut custom to the exact width, which will all be within, I'm sure, a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch. But I hope that makes sense. But that's why this has no riser to it yet. We're planning on, we don't know for sure. We want to use the black walnut for sure for the treads, but for the risers, that can just get installed after the fact right in there after you put the black walnut treads. But we're either going to go with like a maple. I don't know if we're going to paint it white. We could go with like a poplar and paint it white, but I'm thinking like a yellowish color wood. Like maybe we could do, because we have a lot of hickory that we milled, something that takes... I'm almost thinking like hickory or maybe even, we don't have any maple that we mill, but buy some maple. And it just seems like maybe just like a clear coat with some like yellowish looking wood with some nice grain. I'm thinking hickory would look pretty cool, like the contrast between the black walnut and that. But anyways, that's kind of why we did it this way. We made it to where these are kind of like, I guess you could call it the sub tread. This is a sub tread. That's why we didn't even put any nosing on it. This is just temporary. This would not pass inspection the way it is because it has no nosing at all. It has no, you know, this would have to be like less than 4 inches so a kid can't fall through. So this is just temporary until we get the actual finish on. This will not go on until almost the entire project's done. Everything's painted, electrical's done, all of that stuff. It'll be put in right before we do the, I think as long as the inspector knows what I'm planning on doing on this, he'll pass me for my rough framing, because I'll just tell him like, look, this isn't done yet. But yeah, that's the stairs. Might as well walk up here and I tell you, these, and I didn't plan this, but it's just the way that these stringers fell. They fall pretty much right where your feet step on the stairs. So it's just super, super strong. Super strong. We got this up here all nice and cleaned up, and with lumber prices being expensive, we were happy to come across these 2x6. I forgot I put a bunch of lumber up here. Yeah, this is, it's coming along. I feel really, and then we put this temp railing up again. I don't want anyone taking a spill. Put these railings and barricades up. But yeah, it's coming along. I'm really happy to get these in. It's gonna be harder to heat the house now because we can't isolate spots as easily, but I can't wait to get to the insulation stage. I don't think it's gonna happen this season going into the winter because we just have too many other things we have to work on. I have a rental house that has a tub that just broke out through the bottom, and there's no other way to fix it, so just rip the tub out, and that's going to be like a 2-week fiasco. But hey, it's what you got to do. Oh, and one more thing. We actually kind of bird-mouthed the right here, which is a good thing to do. I don't know if you can see it too well with this, but just notched up. And basically, you know, you can make mistakes on these stairs. We actually, what I did is even though I'm preaching, you know, finished floor to finished floor, we did finish floor to finished floor, but here we are, we don't have the finished floor yet. So I actually cut these stringers actually 3/4 too short. And what we could have done is just added a piece of 3/4 in there for them to set on. But what I decided to do is when I put this 1.5 by 2x8, but 1.5 inches high in there, I basically just cut 3/4 high into the stringer. And so the stringer actually ends right here in the middle. And so there's your 3/4. And then that got glued and screwed right in there. So it acts as a bird's mouth. So when the stair pressure is pushing forward, it's not going anywhere because it's bird mouth into the LVL beam below, and it's not going anywhere. But yeah, that's another pointer that whenever you're putting stairs on wood, or we even did it in the basement. What we did in the basement is we just left the last tread off, had this board already fastened to the stair assembly, and then once we had it perfectly in place, we pried it up, squirted a bunch of liquid nails down there, and this drilled pilot holes 1/4 inch, and then just hammer drilled 3-inch lead anchors right into the concrete, and it's not going anywhere. So all right, well that's kind of the stairs, and I'll do another video on the siding, because we've been coming along pretty good with the siding as well upstairs. But this is Dave with another update video, signing off.